Hello students, let us proceed and discuss response to a variety of stimuli. Previously, we have discussed tactic responses as well as tropic responses, both which are unidirectional. Today, we want to discuss nastic responses, which are non-directional movements of parts of some plants in response to diffuse stimuli. Non-directional means they do not come from a particular direction. They have no direction actually. And they include folding of leaves in hot weather, opening and closing of flowers in response to light intensity, and leaves of a plant called Mimosa pudica when touched. You can see this name is written in italics since it is a scientific name, and then this is a typed work, so it should be written in italics. But for you, if you are making short notes and you are putting down, then you should underline the name separately, and you should also note that the first name of the genus is beginning with a capital letter, the rest are small letters. These nastic responses are brought by turgor pressure changes at the leaf and petal bases of certain plants. Turgor pressure is also called hydrostatic pressure, and it is because of water. It is due to water absorption by the plant, which makes the cells to swell or become turgid. After that, the cell membrane or plasma membrane will push against the cell wall. So this is how some plants obtain support, especially those plants that have weak stems. At the base of these plants are pressure sensitive swellings called pulvini, which through loss or gain of turgidity bring about nastic movements. Nastic responses are also grouped according to the type of stimuli that cause them. The first one is called nyctinasty. It is also called sleep movement, and it is response to difference in light intensity and temperature changes. There are types of sleep movements. If the response is particularly to light, it is called photonasty, and this is where flowers open in presence of light and close in its absence. The other one is thermonasty, and it is seen in flowers of some plants that open with increase in temperature and close with decrease in temperature. The other one is haptonasty, basically response to touch. A plant called Mimosa pudica, its leaves lose or close rapidly when touched, so the leaves are open, but when it is touched, they close immediately. There is another insectivorous plant called Venus flytrap, and it grows in soil lacking or having very little nitrogen, and for it to obtain nitrogen, it has to trap or collect some insects and then digest them. When the sensitive hairs on the leaves of this plant are attacked by a landing insect, the cells at the center lose water rapidly, losing their turgor, and we have divided turgor, our turgor pressure, as that pressure which is caused by water, and it makes actually the plant to be rigid or to be upright. So when the cells are touched, they lose water immediately, meaning after that they lose their strength or rigidity. What happens next? This is how the plant looks like. So these are the sensitive hairs we are talking about. When an insect lands on these ones, then the midrib cells, or the cells at the center, lose water. This causes the leaves to spring or to close with interlocking spines. These are the interlocking spines, just as your ants interlock. Now that insect is trapped inside here and digested. By the end of it, the plant will have obtained nitrogen. The other one is chemonasty, and this is a response to specific chemical substances of nitrogenous compounds like urea and ammonium compounds, and all these are found in insectivorous plants. For example, the sundew. So sundew responses to changes in nitrogenous compounds such as ammonium. The other one is hydronasty. When you hear hydro, what should come to your mind is response to source of water or moisture, which we also call humidity. For example, some flowers of dandelion genus close when the air is moist. That means there is some water in the atmosphere. And what are some of the survival values of nastism? One, it helps in protection of the inner delicate parts of the flower. So when the flower is still developing, then these nastic responses help protect those parts of the flower. It helps also in reducing the rate at which plants lose water to the atmosphere, a process called transpiration. It is also important in temperature control, and it provides a way of obtaining some limited mineral nutrients as seen in Venus flytrap, which digests an insect because it grows in a place where there is little nitrogen. Now, let us look at how plants coordinate their activities. They do so with the help of a hormone called auxins. So we shall discuss the role of auxins in tropism. Now, and what are auxins? They are a group of plant growth hormones, and the most common one is called indole acetic acid, or IAA. And they are mostly made in tips of growing stems and roots, also known as apical meristems, and they diffuse or move from a region where there is high concentration, which are the stems or the shoot, downward to the roots where there is little concentration. These hormones are responsible for cell elongation, a process required before differentiation of cells. We have said that these auxins are higher in the shoots compared to the roots. Roots are more sensitive to auxins than stems. That means roots require smaller concentration of auxins to promote growth compared to roots. Actually, it is said the amount of auxins that promotes shoot growth in the shoot will inhibit growth in the roots. Let us now discuss the importance of this hormone called auxins in phototropism. For instance, under uniform distribution of light, auxins produced from the shoot apex are transported evenly down the shoot, promoting equal growth rate in the zone of elongation, and that will lead to normal increase in the height of the shoot. So this is where we have a normal or uniform distribution of light. and then the auxins are distributed equally down, so we will have normal elongation. And when a shoot is exposed to a unidirectional light, the shoot bends towards the light source. So this is coming from one direction. The shoot is bending towards the source of light. Light causes lateral migration of auxins from the lead side of the shoot to the darker side. Lateral is just unidirectional. So auxins will move from this lead side to the darker side, this part. And then the higher concentration of auxins on the darker side, this part, stimulates rapid cell elongation and hence faster growth than the lead side, this part which is facing light directly. Eventually, the shoot grows towards the source of light, and that is a positive phototropic response. Now let us move to role of auxins in geotropism. If a plant is placed in a horizontal position in the dark, the lower side will have greater accumulation of auxins. So you place a plant horizontal like this across, so the lower side will have greater concentration of auxins, because gravity or force that moves downwards causes greater concentration of auxins to migrate and accumulate on this part, on the lower side. Now, the lower concentration of auxins on the upper part here of the root promotes faster growth than the lower side. And remember, we said higher concentration of auxins inhibit growth on the lower part in roots, because roots are sensitive to auxins. The greater concentration of auxins on the lower side of the shoot promotes faster growth than the upper side, and therefore the shoot bends upwards. When the germinating seed is placed horizontally, held on this apparatus called clinostat, auxins are uniformly distributed in the shoots and the roots. So a clinostat is an apparatus used to investigate geotropism in roots. So this will rotate the plant uniformly. So you will find that the plant will have uniform growth. Cell elongation is even in shoots and roots, and hence curvature fails to occur in both shoot and the roots. Let us also look at the role of auxins in thigmotropism. When a climbing stem or tendrils of a plant come in contact with a hard object, contact causes them to coil around hard object. These are the tendrils coiling around a hard object. So this coming in contact with this, the part of the stem which is in contact with the hard object will have little concentration of auxin than this outer part. Remember, concentration can be the same as volume or amount. So contact causes migration of auxins to the outer side, and when auxins are greater on this outer side, then there will be faster growth than in the part with contact with the object, and therefore that makes the shoot to coil around the object. That makes the end of that particular lesson. Attempt this assignment. Goodbye and see you in our next lesson.